Yo, what's good, YouTube, man? It's Gary with another Fan TV back at you. Video at the content of this video. Go smash that like button at the content of this channel. Go subscribe, man. Look, so Ravens had their first day of practice today since beating the New York Giants on Sunday. All right, I got a couple of guys listed on the injury report. Then we'll talk about what I want to talk about in this video, right? Um, and as Ravens get prepared to play the Steelers on Saturday at 4:30. Okay, so a couple of things that's on the injury report, right? Nelson Agholor, DNP with a concussion. Jalen Armour-Davis, hamstring. He's DNP once again. But that's really it right now as far as players that are, that the Ravens are going to miss. And obviously you got down here Diontae Johnson, DNP personal, right? So that's kind of what this video is going to be about, right? The Ravens essentially, in my mind, kind of wasted the trade deadline, right? Because this is how I view it, right? This is it's no shot to Nelson Agholor, but the way the Ravens went about trading for Deontay Johnson, and then him having to wait behind Nelson Agholor to earn snaps, and you're going to tell me that he's actually insurance for Zay and Bate if they ever got hurt. Listen, all of that is kind of silly to me, right? The Ravens had a chance to have their best three wide receivers that they've had in a long time, right? Zay, Bate, and Deontay Johnson was the best group of wide receivers the Ravens could have had, I don't know, maybe since the Super Bowl year in 2012, right? So to say that, he has to wait his turn behind his guys, to me, never makes sense, right? And then you get the other side of it, right? Deontay Johnson, he feels left out, whatever, and then he handles the situation completely wrong and refusing to play in the Eagles game, right? So now he gets what I view as pretty much a suspension, right? The Ravens announced yesterday that Deontay Johnson won't return to the team this week, right? And how I view that is the Ravens pretty much are doing what the 49ers did to Devondre Campbell, except they're not making it a big public thing like, we suspended him for 3 games. That's what the 49ers did. The Ravens are just going to say, he's not returning to the team this week. I doubt that he plays again this season. The Ravens are going to hold on to him. He signs somewhere else in free agency. The Ravens will get the comp pick and return, right? And that will be Deontay Johnson's service to the 2024-25 Ravens as a freaking comp pick next year. So what, 4th, 5th round pick, that's what will be Deontay Johnson's service to the Ravens. And to me, that's just a waste on so many ends, right? For Deontay Johnson, right, he was 100% in the wrong for not going in that game versus the Eagles. It was selfish. It was immature. It was a bunch of things, right? And honestly, right, if he was more patient, he'd be playing now because Nelson Agholor looked like he might be off with a concussion, right? But at the same time, why did it have to take for a wide receiver to get hurt for Deontay Johnson to be into the game at all, right? Why are we trading for Deontay Johnson if he has to earn his stats behind Nelson Agholor, right? When I looked it up, right, in the previous, so Deontay Johnson was available for 4 games, right? So we're not counting the Eagles game because it was his decision to not play, right? So 0 snaps in that game for him, okay? But when we're talking about the 3 games previous, right, Nelson Agholor had 84 snaps to Deontay Johnson's 22, all right? There's no impact he can make with 22 snaps, all right? You're going to tell me he has to learn the playbook, things like that. Okay, sure, that's fair, right? But he's an NFL wide receiver. The Ravens don't run the most advanced offense in the world. The Ravens have a very nice scheme, but it isn't the most advanced offense in the world, right? He could have been playing a lot more. There were games where he was getting 9, 6, those kind of snap counts, right? Like his high was like 11, okay? So when you think about it like that, it doesn't make much sense why you would trade for a guy just to not play him, right? And you can get me with the idea of, this was a break glass case of emergency. If Zay or Bate went down, this and that, the Deontay Johnson, boom, you lose nothing, right? And I hear you on that, right? But wouldn't it have been better just to have all 3 guys playing together? So then now if the guy goes down, Deontay Johnson isn't cold off the bench, like he's already warmed up, he's been out there playing, getting a rhythm. Like this idea that he's going to get better by sitting on the bench or that he's going to get a rhythm with Lamar Jackson by sitting on the sidelines is crazy, okay? So for me, this is kind of my issue, right? When we go into the playoffs, when we go into these high leverage games, right, where the Ravens have been known to, abandon the run, get rid of the game plan, and go out there with, 3 wide receivers, try to spread it out, go in the shotgun, try to throw the ball, right? the Nelson Agholor is going to be dependent in these situations to help win games, right? Unless out of nowhere, Tylan Wallace and Tez Walker jump him, which I would be a fan of at this point. But if they don't, he's going to be out there dependent on winning games, right? I've seen that movie before. I'm not a fan of it. Okay, Nelson. I've said this. You can look back in videos dating back to training camp, dating back to last year. I've said that Nelson Agholor is your fourth wide receiver. You have a good receiving core. If he becomes anything above that, it's a liability. If he's wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3, he's a liability, right? And this video really isn't about bashing Nelson Agholor for not being a solid player, right? You know, he's a good team vet, good guy in the locker room, whatever, right? It's not his fault the Ravens put him in this position. So it's really not about him. Okay. It's about the fact that you had a guy, Diontae Johnson. I'm not saying Deontay Johnson is the best receiver in the world, all pro, this and that. But he was a clear upgrade over Nelson Agholor, right? And the kind of slow plan, I get it for 1 week, right? I do, right? I get it. All right, first week out, cool, bang. After that, he should have been an integral part of the offense and really getting out there. All right. If Nelson Agholor can play 30, 40% of the snaps, so can Deontay Johnson. All right. That was my issue with it, right? So now back to the playoff situation, right? The Ravens' path to the Super Bowl was being in heavy personnel. Isaiah Likely and Mark Andrews playing together. Pat Trivacall on the field for 40 to 45% of the snaps. Heavy personnel, running the ball, zone runs, play action off of that. Then you have a couple plays a game with Lamar Jackson, the superhuman. He does his thing, right? That's that. The Ravens do that, they can get to the Super Bowl, right? Truly. All right. The issue is going to come now where we've seen this Ravens team in the past. They get into situations. It can be a one-score game in the playoffs. The first team doesn't go their way. They panic, and now we're full-out spread attack, right? And at least if you were going to do that, you would have had an upgrade at wide receiver 3, a more talented player, wide receiver 3, to where as though if you did full-on panic, at least it would be a better player there who is known for separating and getting open in the games where DBs get physical, which the Ravens have struggled with, right? Now, with the way that both sides have handled the situation, because Deontay Johnson handled it horribly, and so did the Ravens. Now, both sides can't come together, and now Deontay Johnson is out of millions of dollars because his next contract, because he's going to play again in the NFL, I believe. So the next contract he gets is going to be significantly lower than probably he would have got. And for the Ravens, the biggest contribution that they're going to get from Deontay Johnson this year is not even it doesn't exist because it's going to be a next year's draft pick, right? So you go into these playoff games where teams are going to get physical, and Nelson Agholor is going to be out there as your third receiver, right? We're going to see Lamar Jackson have to scramble around, try to make plays, right? When the opportunity to upgrade the passing game was right there. And for whatever reason, it just never got off the ground, right? So to me, it's disappointing is the main part, right? When you want to see these guys, when you want to see the Ravens upgrade their team over the trade deadline, they said, okay, right? They brought in a talented wide receiver. You have a real shot to have a trio of wide receivers that's the best trio Lamar Jackson has ever had on hit at one time. We see what Bateman is doing. We've loved Zay Flowers from day one. We know what Diontae Johnson has done in the NFL. And for it to never get off the ground is a complete waste, right? Now, I'm not saying throw the season away, right? I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that the variety of ways that the Ravens could have won football games has shrunk, right? That's just my opinion on it. Okay, I like Tylan Wallace. I think he's been a solid player, right? I think he deserved more opportunities over Nelson Agholor in the offseason. I said that, right? Tez Walker catches his first touchdown. His first catch, period, is a touchdown from Lamar Jackson, right? So that's great. So if those guys come along, then maybe this isn't a big deal, right? Maybe it's water under the bridge. Deontay Johnson trade never even mattered, right? But I can see a scenario where it gets tough. We get into the playoffs, and we have a very, very similar game to what we've had every single time. Whereas one-score games, it's low scoring, it's tough situations, and the offense just isn't clicking because there just isn't enough talent past the top 2 wide receivers, right? Yes, I know Likely. Yes, I know Andrews. Yes, I know, Derrick Henry and Justice Hill, guys like that, of course, right? But in the modern NFL, to win games, you are going to need effective passing games, right? You're going to need effective playmakers at wide receiver. And the Ravens had a chance to really do that. And to me, both sides squandered it, right? So we'll see where it ends up from there. But I just wanted to give my thoughts on this last situation about Deontay Johnson. I mean, honestly, unless the Ravens bring him back to play in the future game, this is probably the last time talking about Deontay Johnson, honestly, right? But I wanted to give my thoughts on the situation, on how it was handled by both sides, because the people are going to make Deontay Johnson the sole villain in this, and he owns a large part of this, probably 70, 75% of this. But the Ravens hold some of this as well, and I just want to give my thoughts on that, right? But that's my whole spiel. Give me your thoughts in the comments. I know people are going to disagree. It is what it is, but it's Gabriel, just on Fan TV. I'm out.